Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Sorry, I was 2 minutes late. You know, I like to make a nice dramatic entrance. Fashionably late. And I was preening too. So I had to get my light correct, had to get my, my flowers. Okay, so I was just doing just the braid. I was like, I feel like something's missing. So I was like, you know what? You know what it is? It's the flowers. So hi, everyone. Thank you. First of all, thank you for joining me on a Saturday, a beautiful Saturday here in New York. And you like the flower? Yeah, we love the flower. Thanks, Melisha. Hi, Melisha. Happy May. Happy May Day. Happy Patreon release day. So if you're new here, wondering what the heck is going on, who is this woman talking to you about hair flowers and preening? It's me. I'm Gertie. And what we do here every first of the month is I have a Patreon where we release a new sewing pattern every single month with a full length video to go with it. And so it's the first of the month is always very exciting in Gertie's world. And we like to meet here on YouTube the first of every month to gab about the new pattern and really just like tell you what it is and tell you some of the behind the scenes about it, and also just catch up because I miss you guys. So let's see, what can I tell you? I already made a trip to the fabric store. So what can I tell you about the Gardner top, which is our release today? So this is a fully standalone pattern. You know, it's not an expansion, so you don't need a charm pattern in order to be able to make it. It has all the pieces you need when you download it on Patreon. And this is a little design that I dreamed up, and Melisha can tell you how long we've been working on this. It's been in the works for quite a while. I would say a year. A year ago, I was thinking about, I love like vintage lace tops, and I have one in my wardrobe that's ivory nylon lace, and it's very sheer, and I've worn it before over like a peach bustier, and I'm just obsessed with like vintage lace blouses. And I've been thinking for a while we should do something like that. The thing about them is that they're not that wearable every day, or they need some planning in order to be able to wear them every day, especially to work, because you need coverage underneath and all of that. And so I thought, what if we did, I think also I was thinking a little bit about Marilyn Monroe's top in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, the lavender one with the faggoted seam here. It has like a V seam with like an open faggoted seam, which just shows like it sounds like I'm saying a naughty word, but I'm not. It shows sort of like some skin behind the seam and like a really beautiful thread detail. And hers has a mock turtleneck, so it's more like Barbie. But I think about that seam line a lot, right? Because it's very beautiful. Like Amy's sweater. Someone just said our lovely dear friend Amy from Poison Girls. She did. I can't remember the name of the sweater now. It almost killed me. I knit it anyway. I love this look because it gives you kind of like an air of sensuality without actually not like revealing anything. Rizzo, thank you guys. So I've been thinking about doing something like this for quite a while, sketched it a long time ago. And it's just been kind of like on the back burner for one reason or another. And I'm so happy it's finally out in the world. And so what we decided to do with it was to pair two fabrics together, which I always really like doing, two very different fabrics. The fabric that you see on the lower top is a Ponte knit. So we're recommending a stable knit for that. And that's same with the collar. And then you use a non-stretch lace for the yoke, which really stabilizes things here and keeps it from stretching. So two very different fabrics that get paired together. And so, oh, I love this detail too. You have a little V point on your shoulder. Ooh, ooh. Let me fix my hair before I get too crazy there. Little cute V point on the shoulder. This is a cut on sleeve. And then hopefully you can see in the back, there's a little keyhole and then a hook and eye at the top, just like very simple closure in the back. And that's how you get it over your head. So, sorry, one of Henry's toys is under my chair. So that's, if you hear jingling, it's not Henry, it's one of his toys that has a bell on it. Yeah, the Sheena Blouse is Amy's newest pattern. So yeah, she just had a great new release. And Amy looks, she always looks gorgeous, okay? But she looks especially gorgeous in the photos for her new knitting pattern. So do go check it out. And she's been doing a thing where she releases full-length video courses to go with her patterns, and you get them just included in the pattern. So, I mean, well worth the pittance that she charges for these amazing vintage inspired sewing patterns and videos. So go check it out. So let's see, what else can I tell you? Cut on kimono style sleeve. Sorry, I'm not using that word anymore. It is a cut on sleeve. And I do want to mention, you see a curve under the arm here, right? And you know, the thing about this style of sleeve was very popular in the mid-century 40s through, I would say, late 50s. You see a lot of this style of sleeve. And you will see a little draping. I like to talk about fit and like what's normal for fit and what's not. You will see a little draping around here, right? This is, unless you're going to put a gusset in the underarm, you are going to get this kind of draping. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It's not fitting you incorrectly. This is the look. It's like a soft draped look at the shoulder. Okay. And then the fit is similar to the Hepburn. Yes. So if you have made Hepburn, then you can use the same size because it's very similar. And we did the same French darts as Hepburn with the same cup size grouping. So this diagonal dart right here, that's called a French dart. It gives you some bust shaping. We have cup sizes as usual, A through H. Because Ponte, the stable knit, has a more forgiving fit, things are divided, the cup sizes are divided into 3 groups. So you have your A through C cup in one group, D through F in the second group, and then G and H in the third group. Okay. And in the video, I show you the 3 different, I did that little thing that I've been doing in recent months where I show you what the pattern pieces look like shrunk down and the differences between the dart shapes. Okay, so take a look at that. What else can I tell you about it? I do have some more samples to show you. I can tell you about the fabric for the one that I'm wearing now. This is a so Pontes are a type of knit, and that's what this is. It's called a Ponte knit. It has more stability to it, so less stretch than a jersey, okay? So this is a different type of fabric than the jersey that you would use in like Barbie or Skipper, okay? You need something with less stretch than Barbie or Skipper. So the fabrics are not interchangeable, okay? So Pontes tend to be like rayon poly lycra blends is kind of one of the more popular blends for Pontes. They feel kind of beefy. You get a lot of coverage, as you can see, like this is very opaque for being a white knit. And so that's what we used for this top for the Ponte. And then for the lace, I was really into finding some cotton laces. I always think that cotton laces are really pretty. And they have a lot of stability to them, and they tend to be not as expensive as like Chantilly's and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed looking at cotton laces at like B&J and things like that, and found some really beautiful cotton nylon blends. And then here you can see one of the coolest things, I think, about how we did this top is you can't see this like completely clean finish where you can't see any facings or anything like that here, right? So what we have here is a fully clean finished collar. And it's great for a top like this with sheer on the top where the collar is applied, because normally you would have something like a facing or a bias facing or a bias binding to finish off this seam. But we figure out a way to do it where there is some hand sewing and a little bit of maneuvering, but it's totally doable. And I show you how to do on the video where the seams get completely enclosed. So it's a really nice finish for something like this, where you would normally be able to see the seam allowances or the finish between those collar pieces. Let's see. I see some questions, so I'm going to take a few questions and I'll show you the other samples I brought with me today. Someone says, can I make it long sleeve? So I will tell you, because like we mentioned, it's similar to Hepburn, and our Charm Patterns Hepburn top comes with several different sleeve lengths, and it's this style of cut on sleeve. You could take your Hepburn pattern and, line it up with the sleeve on Gardner and extend the sleeve using Hepburn as your guide. I always think that like lengthening kimono, I'm sorry, we don't use the word kimono sleeve. I'm sorry, these old habits die hard sometimes. With a cut on sleeve, it is more challenging than you might think to just lengthen it, right? You think, I'm just going to add to it and it'll be fine. And then you try it on and you're like, it's twisting. It's not the length I wanted. It's too wide. So I would just say, if you have Hepburn and you like the sleeve on Hepburn, put Hepburn together with Gardner and use Hepburn as your base to extend Gardner. Make sense? Let's see. Okay, and someone asked, is Ponte interchangeable with Scuba, or are they totally different? So I would say that Scuba comes in many different thicknesses, weights, and stretch percentages, okay? So every time we have been doing a knit pattern, I have made it really clear what stretch percentage you need, because more important than the type of fabric when you're considering a knit is how much the fabric stretches. And that's what you should be comparing to what the pattern calls for, rather than just saying, oh, can I use a Scuba? Can I use a Ponte? This is a Ponte, I'll use it. I will say, or like, oh, a jersey, that's a knit, I'll just use that, right? They're all so different in terms of stretch percentage. So just like, I'll give you my little 30-second rundown. I never talk about anything for 30 seconds. Let's say it's going to be my 2-minute rundown of what stretch percentage means. And stretch percentage is how much your fabric stretches. Okay, so if you take 2 inches of fabric in your hands, and it stretches, and then you stretch it as far as it will go. So hold it over a ruler as you're doing this, right? If it stretches to 3 inches, that means it has 50% stretch. We following that? I'm not good at math. And so if you're not following it, I hear you. Okay, so that means it's a 50% stretch percentage. If it only stretches to, see, now I've caught myself in a corner. I'm going to be trapped doing math live. If it stretches to 2.5, that means it has 25% stretch. Mom, are you here? Are you seeing this? I'm doing math. So that is a huge difference, right? Forever lost in math. That's a huge difference. So Barbie is something, my mom says I'm doing great. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Mom. So Barbie is something that would take a fabric with 50% stretch. And then Gardner is something that would be more like 25% stretch. And maybe Melisha can even tell us exactly how much we called for in the instructions, because we gave a range and I can't remember what the exact range is right now. I think we said 10 to 25% stretch for Gardner. Okay. So this is all to say to the poor person who asked a simple question of me. Can I swap out Scuba? What I've noticed with Scuba is that it comes in just very wildly different weights and stretch percentages. So it's impossible to say. Someone confirmed, yes, 10 to 25% for Gardner. It's just impossible to say if one Scuba would be interchangeable with the Ponte used. Does that make sense? So ideally, the website you're ordering from will tell you, or what the stretch percentage is, or it's something you have in your stash. You can just go measure it. Or what's the other thing? You're going to go shopping in a store. I'm like, what? How else do we get fabric? The other way you can get fabric is you can apparently go to a store and get it, but I haven't done that recently either. So Scuba, I think, comes in lots of interesting drapes and prints these days. So it could potentially work. I would just say check the stretch percentage. Okay. Did anyone time me? How far over 30 seconds did I just go? What is going out? So let's see, were there any other questions? Oh, here's some fun questions. I have some vintage table runner doilies. Crazy if I try to use that as the lace. I mean, I don't think so. I would just check for dry rot is a sad reality of a lot of vintage textiles. So just, on the corner of one of your beautiful doilies, just give it a little stretch and make sure it's not going to degrade and to pull apart as you wear your top, because that would be sad, right? So just check it out. But I do think that, I think that like crochet lace would be a really beautiful option for this yoke. So give it a try, and please tag me when you share that, because I would love to see it. And then another fun question was, can you make this without the collar? And I would say, sure, you definitely can. You are just going to have to figure out how you're going to finish that raw lace edge that you will have without the collar. So if it were me, I would do a bias binding probably to finish that edge, or I would cut a bias strip of the lace and do like a bias I always mix these terms up. Melisha knows this. How I always confuse these. A bias facing, right? So like when you cut a bias strip and turn it in, is a really nice finish. So yeah, you definitely could. And then you would just have a plain round neckline. All right, everyone. Are we ready to see some more samples? So first of all, hopefully you saw the beautiful magenta sample that Melisha was wearing. When I first went shopping for fabrics for this top, I was really into the idea of coordinating, right? So you would have, if you had a magenta Ponte, you would have a magenta lace that matched. And I was lucky enough to find a coordinating Ponte and lace in magenta, which looked really beautiful on Melisha. So she wore a sort of monochrome version of this for our photo shoot. And I do, speaking of the photo shoot, I do have to give, as I said in my caption on Instagram today, we do have to give a real shout out to Nati, our new studio assistant, who has been with us for 3 weeks now. And oh, sorry, I'm getting like a little notification. She's been with us for 3 weeks now. And on her second day, I was like, do you want to take some photos for us? What do you know about photography? Because this month has been insane, and we can talk more about what's going on later. But we have a charm shoot coming up next week, like a double charm shoot. So I knew that the shoot for Gardner for Patreon, obviously I care a lot about our photos and they always need to be beautiful and perfect and everything. But I knew that this shoot was going to need to be low stress, shall we say. So I have kind of varying levels of shoots in my mind. Some are done just on location by a friend, very casual. And then the next level up would be, we have our photographer come up from the city and do a studio shoot in our studio. We now are set up to do photography there, which is like, the next level up, or a location shoot. And then there's a charm shoot, which is like, we pull out all the stops, right? So anyway, I knew that this shoot was going to need to be on the casual end of the spectrum. And I figured Nati is starting at a really crazy time, and why don't we just throw her in the deep end, see how she does. And she did amazing. So big thank you to Nati for just being willing to step in and do that and experiment. So poor Nati. So those photos were just taken in the park, just the three of us, and it was actually really fun. So what else can I tell you? Oh, I want to show you more samples. So the other one is, okay, this is fine. Oh, you know what? The other thing I want to, before we go to this one, I did want to say one of the things I really like about this top too is that Nati's not here. If you think she's being quiet, she's not here. I let her have the afternoon. Just kidding. But I think that she would tell you it was fun, right, Melisha? We haven't been abusing her too much. So one of the things I really like about this top and using a lace with more motifs, like more busy motifs, I guess is the only way I can think to say it, is that you don't need to wear like a Merry Widow or a strapless bra or anything to avoid showing straps. I'm wearing the most basic t-shirt bra right now, and it's in, to match my skin tone, and you can't see, it just has regular shoulder straps. So I think that that's like a big thing for a lot of people who can't find a Merry Widow or a strapless bra in their size, or they just don't like wearing strapless bras. I will tell you, like, you don't need to wear it, especially if you use a lace that has a sort of busier, fuller motif. Does that make sense? Are we good? Okay. So here, this one is the real showstopper. I made Melisha sew it. I'm sorry, Melisha, because this fabric I know was really difficult to sew, but look how gorgeous it looks. I don't think it really even read that much on photographs, but look, are we dazzled? This is a fishnet with rhinestones. I know, poor Melisha. So the thing about Melisha, she always doubts herself. And I'm like, I know you can do it. And she's like, I don't know. I was like, you can sew this, you'll be fine. So she did such a great job. So this is a fishnet, like a non-stretch fishnet fabric that is embellished with different colored rhinestones. And so it actually has 3 different colors of Swarovski rhinestones on it. There's your AB, your Aurora Borealis. You have your Jet, and you have that like peachy shade. So it has a lot of dimension to the shine. The reason stuff like this, like beaded things, are hard to sew is because you need to pull the beads out from the seam allowances, because you can't sew over rhinestones without breaking your needle. So Queen Melisha, yes, she's a strong, independent woman, and she used her jewelry pliers to pull the rhinestones out from the seam allowances, and it was fine. It was fine. So someone just asked, where can we purchase the blouse? So we don't actually sell finished garments. We sell sewing patterns. So the answer is you have to learn how to sew. Hopefully, maybe you already know, but on the Patreon, we release a downloadable sewing pattern every month. And then you get the pattern for something like the Gardner top, which is what we're talking about today. And then you get all the joy of making it yourself. So yeah, let us know if you have any questions about how it all works. But yeah, we just released the sewing patterns. All right, so beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. This Ponte is also from B&J, and I linked to it in the instructions. It's a lightweight Ponte is what it's called. And it's actually one of my favorite Pontes that we've used because it's not quite as bulky as some of the other ones. So yeah, there is your sparkly, very dramatic. I love this one. Very dramatic Hepburn top or Gardner top. This fabric is from B&J. It was worth it. See, Melisha. I also wanted to show you all, is the fishnet itchy or the lace itchy on the skin? No, I don't find them to be itchy at all. Some laces can be, but none of the ones, especially like the cotton and natural fibers, really I don't find to be itchy at all. So then let's talk about the one I sewed on video. So it still needs the sleeve hems, but I did want to show you the effect of using two different colors. Can be really fun. So this is a blush colored Ponte, also from B&J, and a cotton lace in white, and this has a really pretty rose motif on it. So for doing videos, I always like to use fabrics with some contrast to each other. So if I'm sewing the yoke onto the top, you know, and you're seeing it, you can see, you know, on camera, you can see the difference between what's the yoke and what's the top. That's how sewing videos go. And, you know, it was interesting to me because I hadn't thought of doing this in two different colors except for that reason. And then when I did, I was like, oh, I love this. So my feeling, it matches my walls. This is how I can camouflage myself. My feeling when I was looking at fabrics to do a two-tone thing with, I felt like it was really pretty to stick with fabrics that kind of had a similar value to each other. And, you know, I could be totally wrong. Like, you don't have to listen to me about this, but I think that the blush and the white work so nicely together because they're both really soft tones and they don't contrast contrast strongly with each other. I also looked at the white with like a bright aqua Ponte, and it was pretty, but I was like, it doesn't give me the same feeling of like harmony that this one does. But, you know, like I said, don't listen to me. That's just how I felt about it. The video was so good, really easy to watch and follow. Oh my gosh, thank you, Helen. So yeah, the video was a journey this month too, because, you know, I normally shoot my videos right here in my dining room. And I've been wanting to move that whole production into my studio for quite a while now, just because if you come into my house, there's like lights everywhere and it's like a whole thing. So I've been wanting to move that into the studio, and finally we made that happen. And if you saw that photo I put up on Instagram, the video set in the studio looks so beautiful. It's styled with, you know, all of my favorite little Etsy finds and, you know, vintage paint by numbers and some beautiful portraits that I got from an artist I really like. And yeah, it just looks really cute. Oh, and the walls are this pink, obviously. So it looks like a styled set version of my home. So yeah, that was our first time doing it in the studio. And again, it was, you know, let's just throw Nati into the deep end and see how she does. She helped me with the video, with shooting the video, and she did great. And it was just really, it was great. I mean, it was a great feeling just doing it there for the day and then just leaving and going home. So yeah, I'm really excited about this new process. And yeah, we even did some fun touches. So if you didn't watch the video, you should, because there's a really cute moment where the ironing board color was like not working because the cover I had on the ironing board was this blush. And so the top was blending in with the ironing board. You couldn't really see what I was doing. So we're like, let's get some fabric and just like kind of drape it over the ironing board and like pin it on the bottom. And so I have like 8 yards of this sort of lilac colored cotton. So I was like, okay, well, let's drape it over the ironing board. And then so we don't have to cut the whole thing. We'll just like drape the rest onto the floor. And so Hattie, Hattie was in the studio, as she always is with me. And she found this like the sort of pile of lilac cotton on the floor, and she like came over and cuddled up in it under the ironing board, like right next to me where I was filming. And it was so cute because she was just like at my feet and she was like just kind of like curled up in this cotton. And I was so happy because Nati documented it with her camera. And, you know, I talked about it in the video. I was like, oh my gosh, Hattie's right. You know, she's curled up in the fabric. And then we got to like pop up a little photo of Hattie under the ironing board. So, I mean, if only for that adorable moment with Hattie, you need to watch the hour-long video on how to make the Gardner top. Let's see. Sorry. No, I do not want to restart my computer right now. Thank you. Okay. So I see some questions. Oh, Natasha asked, I'm truly new to sewing and have no idea where to start. Do you have videos for beginners? Yes, I definitely do. You know, you could start at my top 10 tips for sewing for beginners. You could start with my picnic skirt video, which is an easy, great for beginners project that doesn't even require a pattern, and it really takes you step by step through the process. Also really recommend my Harlow pajamas, which is a free pattern you can get on my website. And then there's a 2-hour-long YouTube video taking you step by step, showing you how to make it. So welcome to the sewing world. I hope that you get as obsessed with it as the rest of us are. I'll miss Henry's cameos in the videos. I know, that is the bummer. That is the bummer about moving the filming to the studio, is like seeing a little cat butt on my cutting table or something like that. Okay, so here's a great question. With glitter work. And so I think this is just a good opportunity to talk about what other fabrics would work for the yoke. You know, for the longest time, we were referring to this as the lace yoke top before it had the name Gardner, after Ava Gardner, by the way, because you're wondering where the name comes from. You don't have to use lace. I would use, to get this effect, you want something that is at least somewhat sheer. So yes, that could be a tulle. You know, I would make sure that it's not too delicate. You know, you want something that is going to play well with the Ponte, right? It can't be kind of fighting it, like it's so drastically different in weight that it's not going to play well together. So I would say, you know, that's why these sort of like heavier laces are a really nice match for the Ponte. But really any sheer will work as long as it's strong enough and stable enough. So obviously fishnet is a great choice. You guys know I love an international mail moment. But whatever you use, I would make sure that it's non-stretch, because this part of the pattern was drafted to not have stretch, and it also helps stabilize it, and it makes it easier to set the collar into something that's not going to stretch. Make sense? Okay, so fishnet. Oh, another thing I love would be like a dotted tulle, like an aspirin dot. Have you guys ever heard that term? It's like a tulle with little dots on it. B&J also sells velvet flocked polka dot tulles, which are really fun. So you could do something like that. What else? Yeah, if you wanted to do, okay, so here's another idea. Do you guys know these dresses by, I think it was Helen Rose was the designer. She was famous for doing illusion neckline dresses. So you would have like something like this, where this would be, an opaque fabric. And then this fabric up here would match your skin tone. So it would be a sheer skin tone illusion or tulle. Okay. So I would look for, if it's really delicate, I would say you could do a double layer. Would be something you could do right here to get some more stability. But what's really cool about that look is that this then blends in with your skin tone, and you can do things like, go full ice skater, right? And do like some rhinestone embellishment on the illusion. You can also do like lace appliques on the illusion as well. There's a lot of fun to be had with playing around with different fabrics and embellishments. So I think it is Helen Rose. Is that right? I wanted to say Helen Hunt at first, and I was like, that's not right. Okay. So what else do I have to tell you? Any more questions? We've been over the fabrics, your stable knit, and then your sheer for the yoke, non-stretch sheer for the yoke. Any more questions about the pattern? Helen Rose. Yeah, Helen Rose. I think that's it. All right, everyone. Is the waistline marked? I don't think so, but it would be easy to find where the waistline is on this because of just the way it's, it has a very what's the right word? Noticeable waist shaping, so you could see where the narrowest point of the waist is and then draw a line over. Alicia says no. Or you could just, mark up from the bottom how much shorter you want to make it. I think someone was saying they wanted to do a cropped version. So really the easiest way to do that would be to just say like, like you have this, let's say you wanted it to be 4 inches shorter or 5 inches shorter. Just, use your gridded ruler to mark up from the bottom where that is. Make sure you leave a hem allowance and just cut that across. Could you get the cotton lace at Joann's? I don't think so. I don't think they have cotton laces, but I could be totally wrong. I've not shopped at Joann's in a while now. I have bought lace at Joann's, and they have that like Casa collection, right? And that is nylon or poly, I think. All right, everyone. Oh, my hair. Oh my gosh. Thank you for reminding me. So the gorgeous sparkly thing in my hair is a braided hairpiece, and it has like an elastic around the back. So it's like a braid headband kind of thing. And it's braided with this rhinestone trim. And this was made for me. And she can make you one too if you want one, by Stevie Rosalie. And I know I talk about her all the time because I bought quite a few hair pieces from her. She does like custom Barbie ponytails. She made our Lucille ball inspired hair pieces for the Lucille shoot, etc. So she's a really fabulous person to get these sort of like custom hair pieces from. And they're great too if you don't feel like doing your hair. Then you can just, like, I did not do anything with my hair today except put it up in combs, put the braid on, and then you just kind of, I didn't do a great job in the back, obviously. You just kind of like wrap your hair underneath the elastic and pin it in place. And this hairstyle was actually based on one that Judy Garland wore. So first of all, you should Google Judy Garland braid hairstyle. And obviously the first thing you're going to get, and you're going to get a million hits for her playing Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz because she wore braids. And she didn't really wear braids, did she? They were like braid pigtail kind of things. Anyway, at one point in her life, Judy Garland wore a beautiful like braid crown with rhinestones like this woven in. So that was the inspiration for this hairpiece. Also, I'm wearing my Lucille, speaking of Lucille, my Lucille trousers today with the Gardner top. And I love these two pieces together. So this trouser pattern, which is a wide leg trouser, is also available on Patreon with the pleats. We love it. And it looks really, really beautiful with the Gardner top. Where did I get the hair flowers? These are from our favorite hair flower artist, Natalie of La Casa de Flores, and she is on Instagram. Oh yeah, you could definitely play around with novelty tools and things like that. So someone said lace with skulls. You could do, a spider web embellished tool like we did for Susie's Rita blouse with the bishop sleeves last Halloween. That sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, and going back to the Lucille trousers, one of the things I like about the Gardner top is that it's just a great piece to mix and match with a lot of your other charm patterns, your other Patreon patterns. So we showed it with the Stanwyck skirt, our huge felt Stanwyck skirts in the photo shoots. And that was kind of my original vision for this top, was it's like this sweet little lace, demure lace number, and then you just have a really beautiful full feminine skirt. And so we showed it with Stanwyck skirts for the photo shoot, but I really love how it looks with the Lucille trousers as well. Lucille trousers is a good project for beginners. I don't know if I would say, I mean, it kind of depends how beginner we're talking. I would not do that as my very first project for someone. I would do maybe more like the picnic skirt or something like that for a brand new beginner, or the Barbie top, something like that. I would say Lucille would be good for like adventurous beginners or advanced beginners. You could kind of go there because there are a few things like, working with the drapey fabric, making the cuff, lap zipper, the waistband, all of that. And then the pockets are just like a little bit to figure out. But I would say, anything that you set your mind to, you can do. I'm sorry, that just sounded so trite when I said it. But I mean, I do believe that, I was just talking to Nati about it today. We're like getting ready for this photo shoot, and she was saying how the first thing that she ever sewed was the Jane set. And I was like, what? Because that's one of our more advanced projects. And she said it didn't come out that great, but she was just like so determined that that was what she wanted to make that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, for me, like if I wanted to get back into knitting because I know I wanted to make this, I wanted to make the Rizzo blouse, and that was what I wanted to knit for. Like, yeah, like just go for it, you can totally like dive into a more adventurous pattern. I would just say like get a few projects under your belt first that are like Harlow pajamas, picnic skirt, easy patterns. Someone said, okay, so there's some questions here. Can I use the same size on Lucille as on the Loretta? I would say yes, they're very similar, but check the finished measurements chart as always. This is a good question. Since the lace has no stretch to it, could you use a cotton or another woven for a different look? Yeah, I think you could try it. I mean, I wouldn't want to use anything too thick. I think if I did use a woven cotton, I would try something like a dotted Swiss, or a kind of sheer organdy or lawn or something like that. Something sort of that has the same feel as a lighter lace. I saw another question. Oh, someone asked, could the blouse be made with quilting cotton? So that I would not say no, because this part of the blouse, right, the lower part of the blouse is made in a knit. So a quilting cotton would be a woven, right? I don't know if that's what you're asking, if you can make this part of the blouse in a quilting cotton. But I would say no, because it needs to have 10 to 25% stretch. So that's why we're recommending a stable knit there. Organza would be pretty. Helen would like to know, can I ask, why are you not expanding the Jane set? So the Jane set did not sell well. So it's I'll just be honest. you guys didn't buy it. So it was out. I mean, it's still out. You can get it on PDF. And it was one of my, I was so excited to release that pattern because I kind of put out feelers and it seemed like there was a lot of interest in like a stretch jumpsuit pattern that was very body conscious. So I definitely put out the feelers and everyone was like really into it. And we released it, and it's not like it like tanked or anything, but like, I mean, if you look at our sales compared to other patterns, it just didn't. I mean, it took us 2 years to sell out one print run, which is crazy. So, I mean, I just kind of took that as like, I guess there's not that much demand for this. And so to expand a pattern and to reprint it is a huge use of time and resources and money. So it's just one of those things where we have to say, is it going to be worth, using those resources if it doesn't seem to be performing that well? So we were just talking about this today. Like, I'm not married to this idea of never bringing it back in print and expanding it, but from what I've seen of, the sales over the, the time when it should have been performing the best, it just didn't. So I don't know. I don't know what it did. Maybe it wasn't the right time. I can't say. Who can say? But I will tell you, it will always be available on PDF in the current size range, which is 2 to 16 with the B to double D cups. Yeah, so you can still get it. You guys got it on PDF. It's not, it's still around. Will the night and day set ever be expanded? Yeah, it has been actually. We're just working on some final laying out. So the night and day is one of the first patterns that I did for Charm. It was maybe the third pattern. And you can make 72 different dresses from this one pattern. It has a ton of options. So we have expanded that one, but it has been quite a process because it had to be completely redesigned and laid out and everything. So it's just been, with all the other projects we have going on, it's just been a little longer than we would have liked. But yeah, I think we're getting there. We're getting there. Just as a reference for me, are the Lucille trousers palazzo pants? No, they're not. They are a just wide leg 40s trouser, but they're not palazzo. Palazzo pants are like really large at the leg, right? So Lucille trouser goes more like straight down. All right. Any more? Oh, did I just take a swig of my like Coke Zero? I kind of did that like without even really thinking about it. I'm drinking straight from the bottle today, guys. I'm normally like a can. I like my Coke Zero in a can, but today we're unfortunately going plastic bottle because I ran out of Coke Zero, so I had to stop at the gas station. Any more questions? How are you guys doing? What's going on? Oh, I see. You were saying not for the knit part, but use quilting cotton instead of lace. I mean, give it a try. I always tell you guys, if there's something that you really want to try with my patterns and you don't see it in any of the sample photos, and it still fits, sort of within the realm of possibilities of the fabric, type, then yeah, try it. It's just, I mean, the only disclaimer I'll give is that I've never tried it, so I don't know what it looks like. So, but you could definitely, why not, mock it up as a muslin and see how it goes. Drag Race Australia just started. Oh my gosh, I'm very excited for that. Yeah, so the new Down Under Drag Race is starting today. Could the Gardner be adapted into a dress? I mean, you could certainly lengthen really any top to be a dress. So yeah, go for it. What about my knitting? I've been like not knitting. I was like very into making my rosemary fisherman sweater. And then I just like stopped and I need to get back on that horse. Oh yeah, keyhole closure for the Barbie top. Yeah, I do need to do that tutorial, but it's oh, what's been keeping me busy this month? Yeah, this is all a good conversation to have all at once. Um, this month has just been the busiest. Like, I feel like Charm and Patreon and everything, like it's always very busy. And I would say the pace of the company is busy. And but this month I would say is unlike anything else. And I'm so glad we expanded the team at the time we did, because I don't know how we would have gotten through it otherwise. And yeah, I mean, there's just a lot kind of happening all at once. I will say, like the merit badges that we're doing for Patreon, mailing them out every month has been just like a new workflow to get used to, is a way I will word that. And then getting ready for the Patreon release, obviously, is always a big thing. I mean, I would love to do a video just like taking you guys behind the scenes of what goes into making one of these patterns, because it keeps me very active. It keeps all of us very active. So I think it would be cool for you guys to see like exactly how many steps are involved. We have like a whole project management software that we use, and like it's just a whole list. And yeah, so I would love to take you guys behind the scenes sometimes to just really like let you see exactly how all consuming it can be sometimes. So we're getting ready for Gardner. And then the other thing that's been going on, obviously, is, which I mentioned earlier, is that we are doing a charm shoot next week. So 2 days. And we're shooting 12 looks. And we pretty much started the sewing, I would say, about a week ago. And it's not procrastination, which is, I'm sure, what it sounds like. It's it's developing new patterns. You never really know how many rounds you're going to go through, right? So I would say something, we've had one or two patterns maybe where we did the first draft and then we were like, this needs a few tweaks and then it's good to go. I would say that's very rare, especially with, the sort of like the more complex designs that we're doing. Like on the more complex end of the spectrum would be something like Liz, which took me over a year to develop. Like it was so intense. Melisha came in at the tail end, or not even the tail end. You came in the middle of that development, and she saw how just crazy that was to develop that one. And then how did I get started on this? Okay, so why does it take so long to get ready for a photo shoot, and why did we start sewing so late? So the point is, there's really no way to predict if something is going. I mean, you can kind of get a sense of, this is a simple knit top. It shouldn't need that many rounds. We've done one like it before. So, this one, maybe we'll just need a few rounds. But, sometimes things surprise you, or like Gardner, you throw in at, having a lace work with a stable knit. And you're like, well, that doesn't work. And then you have to like start with something new. You just never know. So we try to be realistic about the time it's going to take to develop something. But when you're developing creative content like this, sometimes there isn't a start and finish that you can like pinpoint. So the two patterns that we're shooting next week, I would say they're both fairly ambitious. We try to reserve charm releases for things that have a little bit more ambition to them, that have more pattern pieces. that are a little more complicated, maybe a little more on the advanced end of the sewing spectrum sometimes. So these two designs both needed a lot of rounds, testing, retesting. I've had things where you get, let's say you're working on a blouse. It's not a blouse, by the way, but let's say you're working on a blouse and you get, you go through 8 rounds to get the fit of the bodice right, and you're still not getting the sleeve. So what do? You spend a whole day sewing a new sleeve, ripping that one out, redrafting, attaching a new sleeve, rinse and repeat, and just keep going until you get it. And I mean, there's really it's not like it's not like the kind of work where you're like, okay, I have to fill out this form, or like I have to enter this data and then this project is done. There's no, you don't know. You just don't know when it's going to be done. So yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the anxiety of it. That's the excitement of it. That's what makes it interesting. And that's what makes it so that we can't really predict when the sewing is going to start for a shoot that's in 2 weeks. So we are just deep in prep work right now. But, even when something like a big charm shoot is coming out now, I now have the experience of doing both charm and Patreon simultaneously. So it's not like we can say oh, we have a big charm shoot in 2 weeks, so Patreon's going to be late, or we're just not going to do a project for Patreon. No, everything has to keep going. So it's just been, I haven't done a shoot this big since, before COVID, before Patreon. And, it's really interesting trying to balance both, because it's yeah, we still have this many samples left to sew and we know they each take this much time, but today we got to work on this Gardner video. So it's just a lot. Wish I sewed 100 Liz cups. It's a lot, I don't know how else to really describe it. And, having more people join the team is something that I'm really looking forward to and I'm really excited about. And I think that it's just kind of funny. It seems like no matter how many people come on, the work just sort of grows to fill what we can do. I don't know if I've just always been a super ambitious person. I'm kind of trying to come to terms with why my life is always this crazy. And I think it's just partially that there is no doing anything halfway, or even just let's do a simple project. It's just, I don't live that way. So yeah, that's why it's always just, and especially this month has been a little insane. But I mean, I would not trade it for anything. You do need to make a purple Gardner, Militia. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't go back to working for someone else, so I guess I got to keep it, because I am such a I didn't know this about myself for a long time, but I feel like I was destined for self-employment, and I did the whole working in publishing thing. I worked for other people. I explored other careers, and I also, I did what I'm doing now is more sort of a part-time thing, and kind of I worked for, I wrote books. And so that was more of a royalty-based income. And I think, now being 100% self-employed and owning what I now feel is an actual business. I was very in denial for many years. This is just my little thing. It's a real business. And this is how I thrive. You know what I mean? Is just working for myself and having my own business. And I'm so glad I know that about myself. And I'm very grateful that this is what I get to do. So even at my most stressed out, will never feel like this is not what I should be doing. You're all talking about fabric. Hi, Michelle. Oh my gosh. Know thyself. It's fun work. Yeah, I'm glad you think so, Militia. I think that, it's fun. It's stressful, but it's fun. How dead am I going to be on June 1st? You're going to die. You guys are going to die. There's a lot because June 1st, we're releasing the 2 new charm patterns, and there will also be a new Patreon project as well. So we just decided to just hit you with everything on June 1st. So maybe I'll start prepping you for like all the information now. I'm not going to tell you what we're releasing, but I can tell you that our timeline has been a little different on these. And on the 1st of the month, we will be releasing the PDF of the charm patterns. So that will be ready to buy and download for both of those. If you want the print version, it will be a pre-order. So let's say 2 different scenarios, right? This is good because I can work through my talking points, as we say, for June 1st. It's going to be insane. Yeah. So June 1st, you'll have, let's say you're going to buy your charm patterns. You're like, oh my God, I'm dead. I need them both. Right. So you can go to the website, and if you want PDFs, you can just check out, download your PDFs, and you're done. If you're like, oh no, I know I'm a print pattern person and I know how beautifully Charm designs and prints their patterns, so I need the printed version. In that case, you will be placing a pre-order that will come, I'm going to say, a month later, or we'll start shipping a month later. Okay. So it's all about, how impatient you are to start sewing these. Of course, we need both patterns. You will need both patterns. I'm very excited about both of them. I'm not going to give you any details, but I can tell you that I feel like both of these patterns are exactly what they should be. And they, despite all the sort of trials in the testing period, have worked out so beautifully. And I just know already that when I put them out, I'm going to be so proud of them. So that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, so June 1st, you do have to get both patterns, fabrics to shop, and be ready for June. Guys, I can't tell you. Only because it just gives away too much. So I'm sorry. Are they meant to work together or complete separates? They are totally separate from each other. They do not work together. No, I'm not giving any spoilers. No spoilers. I'm not saying anything. I'm preening. I'm fixing my crown. All right, everyone. I feel like I'm so happy we connected today. I was feeling super tired. I listened to a really depressing podcast, and I was like, I don't want to go live. I couldn't possibly. And you guys just always cheer me up. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad we did this. Though, however, I will now take off my lashes and my braid. And it's crazy how quickly I can like de-drag from this and be in my sweats. What podcast? So as you guys know, maybe I've been on a fitness journey. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but I've been really into Peloton and, doing spinning classes at home. And there's a Peloton podcast called The Clip Out. And it's a little much for me because I don't need like an hour and a half of Peloton news every week, but I've been kind of like tuning in when I need something to like distract from whatever I'm thinking about. And they interview someone every week, and it's really sad, guys. Do you really want to hear this? Actually, I think it's kind of important. I didn't know this at all, but apparently there is something called Coveted Psychosis where, people who have bad cases of COVID develop actual psychosis. And this is so sad. I can't believe I'm telling you guys this, but the woman they interviewed, her husband got really sick and he killed himself. And it was, I'd never heard of it. And so if you're interested in learning more about this, apparently it's very easy to find information about it by Google, and they're just learning a little bit more about why this would be. But I would also recommend listening to her because I think, I'd never heard of it, and she had no idea when her husband was afflicted, and it was just incredibly sad. And downer for the end of this, what she really wanted to do was kind of educate people that like this is a real risk of COVID. And so if you want to know more about that, if you're curious, because definitely something to know a little bit more about, I would listen to her interview, though it's hard to get through. But it made me very happy on, a bright note. It made me very happy that we are all getting closer, at least where I am, to being vaccinated. So I have my second shot on Monday. And I know Melisha has hers coming up soon. And I know that Nati just got hers. So we're going to be a fully vaccinated studio, which I'm really excited about. It's a sad story, but I mean, something to, just be aware of. All right, everyone. What team am I? Oh, I'm Team Moderna. I'm team whatever this hospital is going to give me, I will take it. But yeah, I'm super excited to be fully vaccinated. I am not so excited that I am going to be getting my second shot, which I know a lot of people get side effects from. I will be getting that just days before the photo shoot. So I gave myself a little bit of time to recover, and hopefully, the sewing will be almost done. And then I'll just hop right back into modeling on Thursday. All right, everyone. Oh my gosh, yes. See, really interesting. Randy says, I had to take my husband to a specialist after COVID because he was having sudden blindness. Yeah, so just crazy. I mean, we're still learning a lot about COVID, and I just hope you're all staying safe and hopefully getting vaccinated soon. And just be safe out there, everyone. And I'll talk to you all soon. So thanks again for joining me. Like I said, you've just been a bright spot on a low energy day. So I hope you all love the Gardner top. Don't forget to watch the video. And I can't wait to share with you what is coming. It's all coming in a month, which is crazy to think about. It's going to happen though. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Love you all. And I will see you next time. Goodbye. Mwah.